The warmer season is coming in the Northern Hemisphere, and if you're training for a triathlon in hot conditions and think drinking more water and just pushing through is enough, you're setting yourself up for disaster. Heat adaptation isn't just about staying hydrated. You're putting in the hours, you're grinding through the sessions, but instead of getting stronger, you're actually feeling drained, sluggish, and maybe even struggling to hit your usual paces. Here's the truth. If you don't train your body to adapt to the heat properly, you're not just risking slow times, you're actually putting yourself at the risk of heat exhaustion, dehydration, and poor race day performance. Your body doesn't just get used to it over time. In fact, training the wrong way in high temperatures can actually make you feel weaker instead of stronger. The good news is you can train smarter. The right approach, heat adaptation, can actually make you stronger and boost your endurance even during the summer season, instead of just maintaining your winter gains. But if you wait too long, it'll be too late. And if you're not preparing now, your body won't be ready when it matters most. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to adapt your training for hot conditions, mistakes to avoid, key physiological changes that are changed, and a step-by-step heat adaptation plan. And trust me, you don't want to miss the last tip. For reference, as a coach, we don't actually get much training for this, even at uni, partly because the science has evolved with studies in the last couple of years so fast. So I've upskilled my knowledge for application of heat training through a world-renowned sports physiologist, Dr. Dan Plews, and here is my heat course I performed. Plus, I have been to some heat labs and tested things out at universities, in addition to lots of DIY sessions at home. So what happens when we get the core temperature up to 38.5 degrees Celsius? Well, heat training is primarily used to gain heat adaptations, which improve performance for a hot race. In addition, heat training can be used to improve performance in cool to neutral conditions. Who would have thought? There'll be an expansion of blood plasma volume and improved control of blood vessels in the skin, which increases blood flow to the skin for cooling via convection. These physiological adaptations will usually result in a lower core temperature, heat strain index, and a heart rate for a given workout in those conditions. It'll decrease the amount of sodium loss via sweating, i.e. better fluid balance. This generally happens over time and exposure. Greater comfort, lower perceived effort during heat stress, and greater power and performance, faster pace during hot and or humid conditions. Most importantly, a low risk of heat-related illnesses. Heat training improves performance in hot and or humid conditions, as I mentioned, and can also improve performance in cool to neutral conditions. The plasma volume expansion seen with heat training increases total blood volume, which can enhance performance in any condition. I think that's really important to note. In addition, scientific studies have shown that heat training has a potential to increase hemoglobin levels, your red blood cell count. However, for these adaptations, you'll likely need to perform specific longer-term heat training protocol. I've attached this paper for you to do. So what should I do? In winter, all you need 5 by 1 hour sessions in the heat where you get the core temperature high, but monitor this as it's dangerous. Over 10 to 14 sessions. This will elicit some responses, and then during the season, to top up and maintain, all that is required is 1 to 2 sessions per week. I recommend 1 to 2 heat sessions in the week before a key race, with the last heat session 3 to 5 days before the race, depending on travel and time zones. Heat adaptations are lost at the rate of approximately 2.5% for each day without heat training. These are all examples of active heat training protocols. Passive heat training can be very effective. I personally use that a lot. Immediately after exercise in a sauna, without drinking any fluids during, for 20 to 30 minutes of exposure immediately after the session. Heat sessions are often combined with workouts having lower or low power pace targets. This means that not much muscular stress is added to the heat stress. It's really important to understand that. Athletes doing 2 workouts per day may choose the second one as a heat session. For example, running doing intense intervals in the morning, may do an afternoon low intensity run as a heat session. Remember, it's highly stressful on the body. Last tip, you waited this far. Remember, post-session, hydration by means of a highly concentrated sodium drink, like Precision Hydration 1500, will help bring back the fluid homeostasis in the blood plasma. This is very important as it's highly stressful on the body, this type of training. I really have to re-emphasize that. Mistakes athletes make trying to hold the same power or pace in the heat, in the acclimation phases. Use heart rate as a guide, as that'll keep the stress real in terms of output. Remember, heart rate is output. Another mistake, not hydrating during and responding to the huge change in volume losses. I recommend using sodium for all of these sessions in your drink. Carbohydrates optional depending on the intensity. Another key issue is not being consistent or making the room hot enough. It needs to be above 30 degrees. Please guys, that's Celsius. Fan or no fan, it's about getting used to the heat at a low intensity first. You'll see the sweat rate change, so drop over a period of time, and the heart rate, even after a few sessions. Another point, athletes don't respect the stress on the body and expect to do hard training efforts within these sessions and say to yourself, well, what's the point if I'm not working hard enough? The point of the session is not to train very high intensity. It's to expose yourself gradually to get the core temperature up around 38.5 degrees Celsius. And then maintaining, not going higher. You start to creep to 39, it's very, very medical and highly advised not to go there. I hope this was valuable. For me, I did this properly for the first time, only in 2022, pre-Kona, Hawaii. I did it through the summer, of course, building into the October race. And it was what made me get through the day comfortably, certainly on the bike, and most of the run. I won't lie, it was tough during parts of that, the back end. So if you implement each and every one of these tips, you'll get to the start line for your next Ironman in optimal shape. Fail to do that, and you'll pay the consequences by losing precious minutes, maybe even hours, and most importantly, you won't enjoy the race as much. In case you need some help with your triathlon training, and you're looking for a more holistic and scientific approach that goes far beyond the Training Peaks plan, you can reach out using the first link in the description. I'll be happy to help you. Or you can watch some of my other videos. I'm sure you'll find them valuable. See you soon, hopefully at a race in the near future. Thanks for tuning in.